welcome back to another Koze Daily Brew. Today I wanted to talk about just basically the thought starter is when you know what you need to do but you're feeling a little stuck. I wanted to talk about this because I feel like this is something I've experienced in my own life where I have this, list of things I need to do, maybe even a calendar full of just like things planned. I know exactly what my direction is, I know exactly what my path is, and I'm sitting there ready to start my day and I'm just kind of staring at it all and just like not feeling like I can just break that barrier between me and beginning. And that feeling is one of those feelings that I think pops up periodically throughout my life, so I can only assume that we've all probably experienced one time or another. Maybe you're in school and you have projects you have to do and things you want to get started on. Maybe you are trying to start a side hustle. Maybe you're trying to start a YouTube channel. Maybe you're starting a book and writing a book or a fitness journey, or it can be so many different things. It could even just be cleaning your house, right? But it's kind of like that feeling where you might even be excited. You may have even just spent so much time like planning it, putting it all on the board, like mapping out the whole thing, mapping out a whole goal, a whole plan, a whole dream. But now it's time to begin and you're stuck. You feel like you kind of are just like frozen or like solid, like cement. And to break through it almost feels nearly impossible. If that feeling sounds basically relatable in any kind of way, then this is kind of like the steps and process that I like to take when I feel that happening. So first things first, one thing that I've never been really good at, but one thing that I find every single time helps is to just stop what I'm doing completely. I know that kind of sounds counterproductive, but any single time that I've ever found myself just sitting and staring at something, like waiting for myself to just jump in and begin, a lot of the times I find that even if I can push myself like through the sludge to get my hands onto the keyboard and begin my work for the day, the work just feels kind of like half-assed. It doesn't feel like it's synced to the synergy that I'm looking for, And so every time that I've found myself in one of those moments, I've noticed that to just stop for a second, even if you don't get up from your chair, but just stop trying to like just stop staring at it, like put it away for a second, shut your laptop, shut the books, whatever it is, and just take a second. My second step would be then to do something else. And by that I mean don't do something that is counterproductive, and don't do anything that's going to basically consist of procrastination. And I know that probably contradicts what I just said, because technically I am telling you to procrastinate. But I'm not telling you to procrastinate in the sense of like do something else that you know is going to take up a big chunk of your time. I mean do something that you know is going to help get your brain on board, because it basically boils down to the fact that everything's aligned. It's just waiting for you to check in. And to check in, sometimes we might need to do a little bit of like movement to get into the flow or sink into the wavelength that we basically need to be on to get done what we need to get done. For me, I find that there's a few things that seriously help me. Hello, Bentley. One being breath work. So lately I have been trying to do this thing where even if I notice in the middle of my work that I stop and then suddenly I can't get back into like whatever brain wave I was just on, just stopping for a second, putting one hand on my stomach, one hand on my chest, and then breathing in, but breathing in the sense of like you breathe in and you puff out your chest and then your stomach, like take a huge deep breath, fill up your chest, fill up your stomach, and then go backwards, release all the air from your stomach, then release all the air from your chest. Doing that 3 times helps me slow down my thoughts long enough that I can be like, recenter, what was I trying to do? There it is, and then I jump back in. Now if that isn't helping, the other thing that I find helps me no matter what day, mood, time, whatever, is dancing. And this might not be for everyone, so I definitely recommend finding something that is basically going to get you into your groove. But anytime that I find that it's hard for me to begin something or to get into the mood for something, it's usually because it's been a little while since I've had some fun. And that's kind of a feeling that I was actually having just yesterday. I was trying to get some work done. And it wasn't like this like crazy, I couldn't get work done, whatever. It was just kind of like for whatever reason I couldn't jump in, and it was because it had been pretty far into the day that I felt like I had been working for some time and I still had a couple more hours ahead of me, and I was just like, like I just don't want to, like it's been so long since I've just like had a good laugh or a good time for even just 5 seconds, or at least it feels that way, your brain kind of tricks you into thinking that. So for me, I find that if I just pop on a song, like one of my favorite songs, and I'll even go as far as, just because I know that it'll help me release my inhibitions just a little bit, like I'll shut the blinds in my office or shut the blinds in my room or in my kitchen or wherever, blare the tunes or put on your headphones if you've got people around you, and just freaking dance. Okay, I used to do this in high school in the girls' bathroom. Like when I was just in a weird mood, I used to go put my headphones in and dance in the stalls, and you're gonna feel weird. You're gonna feel so weird for like the first few times you do that. But honestly, it works. Like, at least it worked for me, and it still works for me to this day. One of my favorite songs ever is Problems by Petit Biscuit. I don't know why, but every time I put that song on, without fail, after a good dance session to that song, I can usually get back into whatever I need to get back into because it puts me in such a good mood. And when I'm in a good mood, when we're all in a good mood, we want to be more productive. We're just ready. We're kind of just ready for whatever life's thrown at us versus feeling stuck and unready. So I definitely would say having like a good dance party helps. Some other things though are anytime I walk Bentley, anytime I get some fresh air, anytime I meditate, or anytime I spend a little time in nature. So you can take some of these ideas by all means, but I definitely would say to build up a little roster of your own. Think of 5 things that just make you feel really happy and kind of elated or reconnected to yourself. And they don't need to be massive giant things. They can just be 5 small things. One of them could even be just a specific song, and it could be your go-to song whenever you're in one of those mindsets, and it just helps you get back on board. My next tip, let's just go with that, would be to try and look at what you're doing at a different angle. So if you've done the breath work, if you took the break, if you did the dance party and you're still not feeling it, ask yourself if there's a different way you could go about doing what you're doing. Sometimes I find that even just picking up my laptop and moving to a different destination to do my work, whether it is literally a different destination in my house, packing up and heading out to, there's like a communal workspace that I can go to that I have like a membership to, or even just going to like a Starbucks, or just in general, when it was hot out, like midsummer, I used to go to this one cafe in particular that had an outdoor patio that I could work at, and just picking up whatever I was trying to do and going somewhere else and getting myself into a new atmosphere helped me get into a new headspace. And I find that that really, really helps whenever I'm finding myself a little stuck to be able to do what I need to do. And then last but not least, I would say to use this moment. If all else fails, or even if these things work, you can still do this tip. 1, become aware of it. Become aware of the fact that you're finding it a little difficult to begin. And then once you grasp that awareness, like don't fight it, just grasp it for a second. Just be like, interesting. I'm finding it really hard to get into what I know I need to do. I know I have this whole pathway set out for me, but yet for whatever reason, I'm finding it a little hard to just start. Ask yourself then, what is stopping you? Because I'm a big believer that if you ask, you shall receive. So if you take a second and you really ask yourself, what is stopping me right now? A lot of the times you might pop a little answer inside your head that kind of feels like it's you thinking it, but it also feels like it's coming from somewhere else. Like for the days that I do the dance parties, it's usually like I find myself thinking, okay, what's stopping me from getting into work right now? And my thoughts are always like, it's been a little while since I've had some fun. It's been a little while since I just like let loose a little bit. And that's when I know I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. I'll have a little dance party. Sometimes though, the thought can be like, it feels like I just feel a little stale here. And then it's like, okay, go get some fresh air or relocate. Or it might even be something bigger. It might be like, my thoughts can't seem to unhook from this. I can't stop thinking about this. I can't move past this. Or I can't concentrate because my brain is somewhere else. My brain's over here. And it's an interesting thing because whether you journal or not, I would recommend writing it down, because you might find that when you start to flow those thoughts, or even, this is gonna sound wild, but like open up photo booth on your laptop or any webcam, whatever, and just basically just start talking as if you're talking to yourself. You can delete it later too. Like you're gonna feel cringy, but like just know that no one ever has to see it. You can delete it, but it just helps kind of like break that barrier and unravel whatever it is that feels so tight up inside of you that's stopping you from pushing past it and getting to what you need to get done. And so I always find it a little interesting when all else fails and I'm still struggling to begin. It's kind of like if I can, write it all out into a piece of paper, meditate on it, or even do the photo booth thing. Like, trust me, I have a full folder of photo booths now from like the last year and a half. It's something Larissa actually taught me when we first started living together. She was like, oh, I do this thing sometimes where like I just turn on my photo booth and I like update on life. And I was like, that's so cool to just keep those video files for yourself to kind of just be like, this is what's going on in my life. This is what's making me feel stuck. This is what's making me feel happy. It can be a lot of things. Basically, just unlocking that feeling, unlocking whatever it is that feels kind of stuck or tense inside of you. might help you realize not only what's stopping you from getting your work done, but maybe what's taking up a lot more of your headspace and a lot more of like your emotions and your time right now than you might even see. Because a lot of the times, the crazy thing about our brains is that we live in a three-dimensional world. Like, you're watching this on, I'm gonna assume, a phone or a computer. That's three-dimensional, even though I'm not three-dimensionally right there with you. You're still watching me on a three-dimensional device, I'm assuming, unless you're from the future. And we think, though, on the fourth dimension. So our thoughts, even though they aren't physical and they're not tangible, like your thoughts are not a physical thing in front of you that you can see, but yet they are still real. So it's kind of hard for us to sometimes grasp that even though physically there's nothing really happening that's stopping you from getting your work done, mentally, on the fourth dimension, there are some real things that are stopping you, that are blocking you. And even though they're just thoughts, they can still block you and they can still get in your way because they are still real. And for you to feel the way that you feel, whether you're stuck or whatever it is that's blocking you from being able to get your work done, just know that you are valid in feeling that way, because even if it is just you can't get your head on board, it's because there might be a non-physical but physical blockage on the fourth dimension front. And so that's why I find these tips really help, because whether it is dancing, whether it is connecting to your breath again, whether it is relocating and getting your brain into a new fresh environment, or taking a second for yourself, or just talking to yourself, like talking to that fourth dimension. This sounds wild, but talking to that fourth dimension and just being like, yo, this is all of the stuff that is so real inside my head but not real in real life, and I just need to get it out so I can begin. That is so like valid. Just know that you're not, like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not lazy, you're not incapable. You're just experiencing another facet of being a human being. And it's incredible. Just know that it is incredible, because it's like Bentley jumping up on the bed there. It wasn't like he was like, oh, I need to jump up on that bed, but I have all these thoughts that I can't stop thinking about, so I can't jump up on the bed. Like, animals don't do that. Humans do. So it's kind of, if you can like spin that onto it, it's kind of incredible that we have that little fourth dimension that we all get to tap into. And so just treat yourself with a little bit of care and a little bit of patience. Ask yourself, what do you need? And trust me, if you can get quiet enough, the answer will come to you, and you'll know exactly what little formula you might need to just start and begin your work. It's not about reshaping your plan or whatever, at least not all the time anyways. It's just a matter of just clearing the blockages. And so there you guys have it. That is today's Koze Daily Brew. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below, and if you guys have any routines or tasks or things that you like to do that helps you get into the momentum of work when you find yourself feeling a little stuck. And aside from that, I'll talk to all of you guys tomorrow morning. Bye guys.